Yo, what's up guys? It is Sam checking in once again for you in Egypt. I have a story for you guys. This story is a really serious story, and it's not a very positive story, but it's something that I really need to let out because this is actually something that stopped me from making videos for a while because I was really affected from it in a bad way, and I'm finally starting to get back to normal. But this is probably one of the more impactful experiences throughout my entire journey traveling. Okay, I did a video before on how I was almost kidnapped in Colombia, and people actually the feedback that I got from that was really a mix of good and bad. Some people believed me, but there was a lot of people who didn't believe me or criticized me. And so they'll probably do the same thing again for this video. Really don't care. I'm just going to tell the story. Okay, so last time you guys heard from me in detail, I was in Rome in Italy, and that was a long time ago. I'm starting to lose track of the time here. It was, I think, about 4 months ago that I was in Rome. And since then, I've gone to Croatia, I've gone to Poland, I've gone to Austria, I've gone to Israel and Palestine. I do want to talk about those in particular in more detail by themselves, but I wanted to focus on Croatia for this video. Okay, if you've been following me closely, you know that after Rome, I went to Croatia. Okay, when I arrived in Croatia, I actually didn't even really have that much money in my bank account. It was something that I had budgeted for. I budgeted to have a lot of fun in Rome, and I wanted to go see all of the stuff to see in Rome, the Vatican, all the stuff, the Colosseum, all the stuff you have to pay money to enter into to see. And so I figured when I went to Croatia, and just so you know, I actually stayed at a hostel. It's not something that's I really enjoy doing anymore, and this is actually this story is one of the reasons why. For purposes of my safety, I'm not going to name any names in this video or the name of the hostel, but I will use names of the people that were my friends in this scenario. Okay, just because I'm posting this up on the internet, it is public, and anybody, including including a certain particular person from this video, might be able to see this, and I would prefer at this point that we just drop it all and there's no more hard feelings, okay? But I do want to mention this video because I think it's really important, and I want anybody else to learn from my experience in this video, especially if you're a budget traveler and somebody who's traveling around the world and you need to learn new ways to make friends or how to be safe. This story is for you, okay? I was in Croatia, and let's just say I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was next to a national park. Okay, that isn't too specific because there's lots of hostels in Croatia. Okay, but at this certain one that I was at, I quickly made some friends when I went to this hostel. One person was from Mexico. His name is Hector. He ended up actually becoming a really good friend of mine, and he ended up meeting up with me later in Jerusalem and in Bethlehem. But that was down the line. I also met a couple other people. I met a Spanish girl named Irene and also an American girl named Nicole. And so I'm giving you these names because they're important figures in this story. Okay, and so those people who were staying with me at the hostel in Croatia, they were what we call workaways. Okay, if you don't know what that is, a workaway is somebody who stays at a hostel and spends 3 to 5 hours a day working, whatever the hostel owner wants them to do. But that is the policy. It's 3 to 5 hours, or I don't know specifically. You have to look at workaway, but it's somewhere in that range. Okay, 3 to 5 hours. Okay. When I first arrived at this hostel, the owner of the hostel actually asked me if I wanted to. Hey, you want to stay here for a while? Hey, just do a little bit of work, help us out. 3 hours a day, something like that, and you can actually stay here for free. And so I even already paid to stay at this hostel for a month because I found a really good deal on Airbnb, and I wanted to stay at somewhere that was really, really affordable. That way I could make a lot of money and save up to go to the next place. Okay, that was just part of my plan. So when he asked me if I wanted to work with him to stay there for free, I thought, yeah, why not? Okay, yeah, I might stay here a couple more months, free living. Awesome, right? So I get to stay at a hostel for free, maybe just do a few hours of work a day. Who cares? Because I'm getting free living. Okay, so once again, remind you that I had paid to be at this hostel, okay? And I had already paid in advance for a month. But I figured I would help him out right immediately because he had a lot of things to do and I didn't really have that much more to do. I could have been making videos, but I got really caught up into the daily lifestyle here in Croatia, so I was making friends. And so the first friend that I made upon arriving at this hostel was Hector, the man from Mexico. I was actually excited because I wanted to practice my Spanish, and I knew that he would be able to help me. He's from Mexico. And so Hector and I worked together with the owner of the hostel. Again, I'm not going to give names or give the name of the hostel just for my safety purposes, okay? And let's just say I probably worked, about a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. And at that point, I realized that I'd made the wrong decision and that I shouldn't have told him that I wanted to work with him because I really wanted to be working on my computer because I could make more on my computer and earn more per hour on my computer comparatively than what I would be getting per hour if I were to get free living at the hostel. So I changed my mind quickly that I didn't actually want to work at the hostel, and it's something that I told the owner. And after I told the owner this, really things took a sharp turn for the south, okay? And so at first we were all friendly, happy, do some work for me, you stay here for free. And then as soon as I decided I didn't want to work with him anymore and that I'd rather just keep working on my computer and have him not tell me what to do, because that's something I got really sick of. I felt that he was working me too hard and that I wasn't getting any sort of good benefit out of it. And so I told him face to face, I don't want to work with you anymore, just let me work on my computer, please. And so I thought that this was a fair deal because I had already paid to be there for a month, and I gave him free labor, okay? However, there is a certain part of me that was a teacher that has a heart for other people and looks out for other people and wants to protect other people and make sure everybody thrives in a certain situation. And this part of me noticed that after I had stopped working for the owner of the hostel, this part of me noticed that the owner was having the other workaway people, again, the volunteers, he was having them work hours that were well beyond what was allowed by the workaway policy. I'm talking like 10 to 12 hours a day here, like ridiculous, almost slave labor. Okay, and this actually, this is something that I noticed, and it bothered me, and it bothered the workaway volunteers, the people that were my friends. And it's something that we had talked about. It's like, this is ridiculous. Why are we putting up with this? And so at this point, I had already told him that I quit working and I wasn't going to work with him anymore. So I was kind of on one side of the coin where I was able to talk to them and not really care what the hostel owner thought about what I thought about or how many hours he was having them work, if that makes sense. And so I'd be out in the open telling them, like, you really shouldn't be working for them. It's a ripoff. This guy's ridiculous. He's just using you. He's taking advantage of you. If I were to take anything back, I probably wouldn't have talked behind his back because I think this made a lot of things worse. But I'm not a perfect person, and I do some things wrong, and I think this is one thing that I did wrong in this particular situation. Now let's step aside to another facet of the story. This hostel owner was, he served in the Croatian army, okay? He was a soldier of some sort, and he had friends that were soldiers, and he was a veteran. He had fought in the Croatian War for independence. And there was this one night where he was doing a reading on me, let's say that, where he types in the name of my birthday, the time that I was born, blah, 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 and then he told me everything about me. And this is just another night. We were just sitting, relaxing, having a good time. And I thought, okay, what the hell? Let's see what he has to say. Let's do my reading, okay? And so I was listening to his little spiel, and right off the bat, I didn't really believe some of the things he was telling me about myself. I don't remember specifics. I just remember that feeling that I don't really believe what this guy is saying right now. This isn't true. I know myself. I don't believe this is true. And so there was a point where I told him, well, I don't know. And he's like, no, man, I know everything. Believe me, I know everything. Okay, and me being me, as soon as I heard him say, I know everything, I thought, ha 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 ha, no, you don't, man. This all makes sense now. This is just an egotistical person, a narcissist, thinks he knows everything, when in reality he doesn't know anything. And so that was my perspective in this whole situation after that situation. And this is important to the story because later on down the line, I had stopped talking to him because I just separated from him and I wanted to work on my computer and not work for him and just spend all my time making money as much as I can. But that didn't mean that I wasn't subject to having to be around him every now once in a while because it's his hostel. He lives there. He's the owner. After I quit working for him and after the whole reading spiel, I tried to distance myself, as I was saying. There were still occasions where he would make, shall we say, smart-ass comments to me that I didn't really appreciate. Like, he told me on numerous occasions that I know nothing, and he treated me like I was stupid. And so it's not the first time in my life that I've been treated like I was stupid, and so I really just tried to remain quiet. And any time up until this last circumstance, I did. That's exactly what I did. I kept my mouth shut. I just didn't want to cause any problems because I knew that we didn't like each other really, and that we didn't agree on a lot of things. And usually when I meet people like that in the world, I'll just keep my distance away from them, and me be me, you be you. Everybody's happy, right? But as I was saying, there was another side of me that was noticing the injustice of the workaway volunteers being treated and how they were and worked as long as they were, which was against the policy. He was even sexually harassing the female volunteers, Rene and Nicole. Okay, Nicole is the American girl, Rene is the Spanish girl. And it's something that we had talked about. And it bothered me seeing, on one hand, them having to work extremely hard, and on the other hand, having them be mistreated. Okay, and so me seeing that, I did not approve of it. And there was one night where I kind of just let it all out. But I was in Croatia for 2 weeks. This was the second week, and this was in August. It was during the first week of August. Hector, Rene, and myself were sitting in a room. At this point, Nicole had already left. Her workaway time was done, but we had still become friends on Facebook. But it's Hector and Rene, and we're sitting in a room, and it's 9 o'clock at night. The owner of the hostel walks in. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm reading a book, just trying to continue minding my own business, like I was trying to do this whole entire time. The owner of the hostel walks up to Rene and says something to her. He says, "When are you going to be a good member of society and go and get married?" And as soon as I heard that, that bothered me. That hurt me. And I'm not even a Rene, but that hurt me when he said that. And so I immediately snapped back and said, "She's already a good member of society." The owner of the hostel didn't reply to me, walked away, sat down. Now, my other friend Hector, at this point, he was sitting on his computer. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but the owner of the hostel sat down next to him. And again, this is 9 o'clock at night. And he started telling Hector that he needed to do this, and this, when he had already been working that day. And he had easily been working the maximum allowed for workaway policy, which was 3 to 5 hours. He was well beyond that, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and he was telling him that he needs to do this, and this. And so while I was sitting there, I had taken my shoes off, and I had put them on the ground, and I didn't think that was a big deal, because where else am I supposed to put my shoes? Sometime when he was telling Hector to do something at 9 o'clock, do more work than what he was supposed to be doing, he told me to move my shoes. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done this, but I just ignored him and didn't listen. And instead, in a few seconds, I said something to the owner of the hostel, which sparked something that I never even imagined would have happened. And I remember exactly what I said. I said, name of the person, normally with other hostels that I've been at, the workaway volunteers only work 3 to 5 hours a day, and what you have the people here do is way more. And he immediately snapped back and said, "That's none of your concern." And so I responded back, "Yeah, that is none of my concern, but I'm just stating my observation here." As soon as I said that, unknowingly I had triggered an argument. And this was probably something that was welcoming because we both knew that we didn't like each other. I was just trying to protect my friends. It's something that I felt was right. And before I knew it, we were in a heated argument back to back to back to back to back. And as most of you might know, when you get angry, you don't really necessarily remember everything that you say. But I do remember 2 things that I said, which I would qualify as below the belt, shall we say. The first thing that I said that may qualify as below the belt, is I said, Hector and Rene, they're not your slaves. You can't just have them work as long as you want. The second thing that I said that was a little below the belt is, you do not know everything. Okay, and those 2 things really made this person mad. Okay, when I say mad, after I had said the second one, you don't know everything, he looked me directly into the eyes, and sorry, this part of the story is difficult. He looked me into the eyes and said, I'm gonna pull out a gun and shoot you in the head. You don't know who I am. As soon as I heard that, I freaked out because I didn't actually think that it was going to be taken this far. I thought I was just going to stand up for Hector and Irene and that it would be all good and I'd go back to bed. But little did I know that those comments that I'd made really triggered him and really triggered this owner of the hostel. And so as soon as I heard that, I grabbed my shoes that I had on the ground that he was mad that I had open, that I didn't have on my feet for whatever reason. I put them on, and I went outside into the dining room. We were sitting in a living room, and there was a door which connected to the dining room. And there was about 20 people in there. I knew every single one of them. It's a hostel. I'd at least said hi to every single one of them. I was friends with only Hector and Irene at this point, but other people there knew who I was. And, maybe we sat by the campfire the night before, talked. But anyways, I stormed out of the room that I was sitting in with the hostel owner and said, this man just threatened to kill me. This man just threatened to kill me. This is the owner of the hostel. He just threatened to kill me. He just said he's going to put a gun to my head and he said he's going to kill me. I'm pumping full of adrenaline right now. At this point, I didn't actually think that he was going to kill me. I thought that since I had made that scene, that other people were going to protect me and that it was going to be all over and everything's going to be fine. And so I thought that by making a big scene that I might be able to be surrounded by the other people. That way the owner wouldn't be able to do what he said that he wanted to do, which was pull out a gun and shoot me in the head. And so I sat down in that dining room with those 20 people on a chair. And so let's say this chair was facing, or this is the room that I was in with the owner of the hostel back here behind me. This is the imaginary room. And this is the chair that I was sitting in. And I'm flipping out, I had just been threatened to be killed, and I was trying to inform the other people around me that that's what just happened. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was making a big scene. Everybody was quiet. I was the only one talking. I was easily dominating the atmosphere because I don't know if scared is the right word, but pumping full of adrenaline. Okay, and so as soon as I had made that big scene of the hostel, he walks out of this room that's behind me, goes this way. He goes down the hallway. He gets on his phone. And he's talking to somebody. I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was just going to drop it, leave it there. Okay. 5 minutes later, a big man walks in, a Croatian man. Somebody that I had known, wasn't really friends with, somebody that I had seen. Big man. He was also a veteran and served in the army with this owner of the hostel. He walks in. He didn't really speak English. And I immediately told him, he just threatened to kill me. He just threatened to kill me. I put a fake little gun next to my head to signal what he was saying. He didn't listen to me. And immediately, once he walked into the room, he grabbed me by my neck. I'm still sitting in this chair and tries to pull me back into this room that's behind me. Okay, there's a glass door right here. Somehow, when I'm in this position, I managed to slip out. And the man pulls the chair, and the chair actually breaks the glass window that is behind me. He was trying to pull me into the room, and I, to this day, believe that they were going to kill me, or at least beat me up to a very bad degree. But like I said, I somehow managed to slip out of the armhole, and I started running, man. I ran down the stairs, and I ended up spraining my ankle terribly bad. And I'll put a picture somewhere on here so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, as soon as I had been put in a headlock, other people, instead of protecting me, they actually ran. They screamed and ran downstairs, which at the time hurt me. You don't believe me? These people were trying. They said they were going to kill me. But it didn't matter at that point because I escaped, ran downstairs, went outside, and I immediately, as soon as I saw those people, I said, don't let me be alone with this man. He's serious. He's trying to kill me. I'm not playing around. I think something flipped a switch at that point, and people had actually started to listen to me. Okay, Hector and Irene, they were long gone by the time that we were in the argument. They didn't want to be a part of it. They just wanted to stay out of it because they needed the place to stay. They were budget travelers. They didn't have money. They needed to stay on good terms with this man. I didn't, because I didn't have to work with him. By that point, I had been making money, and I just wanted to stand up for him. But now I'm outside. Everybody's crowding around me, asking me what happened. And the owner of the hostel at this point just completely loses his mind. Okay, he comes outside. And then he tells the people that I had taken my shoes off and put them in his face, which is completely untrue. And so that was his side of the story, is that I had angered him and he threatened to kill me because I put shoes in his face. My side of the story was that I was trying to protect my friends Hector and Irene and trying to stick up for them. And I told the owner of the hostel that he didn't know everything and that Hector and Irene weren't his slaves. That's my part of the story. Either way, what was true is that I received a death threat and I somehow managed to escape and go outside and be surrounded by people. And these people at this point started protecting me. And every time the owner of the hostel got near me, they said, no, go away. You need to calm down. So leave him alone. Needless to say, I was kicked out of the hostel. I had to leave. And since I had already paid for a month and I had only been there 2 weeks, I told him, well, you have to give me at least my 2 weeks money back, refund for my 2 weeks. That's what I asked for. And so when I asked for that, he wanted me to go by myself into that room upstairs where he keeps his safe. He made it clear that he wanted me to go up there by myself. But I said, no, you're going to bring the money. You're going to bring it here. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave. And so people actually said the same thing. The other people that were there was other American people that are protecting me. And they said, no, if you're going to give him a refund, you're going to bring it right here where everybody is. And so he eventually did. He did give me my 2 weeks refund. And I left. It didn't stop me from becoming traumatized from the experience. Okay, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go, and I had a sprained ankle. It didn't hurt at this point because I was still pumping full of adrenaline, but it was a really bad sprained ankle that stopped me from walking for the following 4 weeks. And I don't know what I would do without these people, but a ton of people went upstairs, packed up my bags, and put everything away for me, everything that I owned. And there was even this man from Denmark who offered to stay with me that night because I wasn't the only one who was afraid for my life at this point. Other people had started to believe me, and I still thought that the owner of the hostel might come after me, and so I knew I had to leave. The man from Denmark, he actually went with me, and there was these 2 French ladies there who offered to drive me to another town to stay in a hostel. And the man from Denmark, he was still there with me. We stayed at a hostel in another city in Croatia, kind of remotely nearby, but I didn't want anybody to know where I was, especially not the owner of the hostel. And so I was really shook up. I didn't know who to trust. And it was really the first experience that I had where I really knew that I could have died if I had pushed the right button just a second ago. And so we go to a different city. The man from Denmark stays with me. We meet another man from Australia. We tell him the story. And then at the same time, I didn't feel safe talking to any Croatian person because I was all worried that they might know the owner of the hostel and they might take his side just because they speak his language and immediately tell him where I'm at. And so I didn't trust any Croatian person that I had saw or met, sadly, for the remainder of my time in Croatia. And I immediately decided that I needed to leave the country. And I decided that Poland was where I was going to go because somebody had offered me a place to stay there to recover from my sprained ankle after I told them about this scenario. So I didn't sleep that night, and when I did sleep, the only dreams that I had were reminders of what just happened. And I woke up the following day with a huge swollen ankle, and I couldn't even walk, guys. I could barely hop, and if I had to move any sort of short distance, it would be done by crawling or hopping. So I needed help. And thankfully, I don't know what I would do, where I would be without this man today. But that man from Denmark, he helped me carry all my stuff. He had bought me a beer the night before, and he took me to the train station. He hauled all my stuff and helped me. I didn't even know the man. And I think that this man saved my life. I really believe that. Just with his help. We eventually parted ways when he took me to the train station. The train was going to be taking me to Zagreb, and then from Zagreb I would be on my way to Poland. And outside of being almost killed, I truly believe so, the biggest impact that I had, or the thing that impacted me the most, was how people treated me when they knew that I was injured, and injured poorly, or injured very badly. You know, to put this in perspective, I was on a train to Zagreb, and I was in tears because what happened to me was so awful that I couldn't believe it. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to trust. And these people that were sitting next to me on the train on the way to Zagreb, somewhere along the line they noticed that I was bothered and something was wrong. And when we got off the train, they carried my bags and essentially carried me. I had one arm on each of them all the way to the taxi, which took me to the hostel. Those people, they also helped save me. And I think something happened to me because I was never quite the same after that happened. I stopped trusting random people that I met, and it really forced me to have a more cold outlook towards people and who I could trust. But I also think that it made me stronger. And so somehow, some way, with a terribly sprained ankle, I managed to make my way to Poland. And then I lived there for a month and a half. That'll be a story for another video. Okay, but that is my experience receiving a death threat in Croatia. If anybody wants to learn from my experience, don't commit to things that you can't necessarily keep your end on. Don't get angry. Try to keep your cool. And if you meet somebody that you think might potentially be dangerous, watch what you say, guys, because it's all fun and games until somebody actually really seriously gets hurt. And in this case, it could have been me. Okay, but I'm still here with you guys. I'm still alive and still traveling here in Egypt. That's my experience, and I wanted to share that for you guys. And I appreciate you watching, and I hope other travelers who follow in my footsteps can learn from my experience somehow, some way. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.